because we're going to title this Interview with a Recreational Chemist, which is you, Jared.
Yes.
Is that...
I enjoy recreational chemistry.
Yeah, right. And I think we can tell from I could tell from the detail which you described about smells even and why you use what you use. There's some chemistry background. Is that where you went? Did you go to school? Do you have a chemistry degree? Where was your studying in basic chemistry?
Biochemistry originally, and that was at Northridge, and that was really cool because they let you play with all the machines.
Okay, what machine? You're saying you play with a machine. What machine?
Typically, there's all these high-end analytical machines that they'll have at a college, and when you get into a graduate degree, you get to play with all the machines and touch them. And before that, you just kind of read. And so, you'd be like, oh, I want to use the electron microscope. They're like, okay, get a graduate degree. And then in Northridge, it could be like, I want to use the electron microscope. And they're like, cool, sign up. And you just put your name on the list. Wow. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go, what did I actually do? I went and I killed a fly, and then I gold-plated it in the little thing, and then put it in the electron microscope, and took all these badass pictures of a gold, and you got to gold plate them so you can see them, right? But you're like, and then you keep the slide too. They let you keep the little slide, and so I had a slide with the gold-plated fly and all these badass pictures, and they're just for the fuck of them.
And that was something biochemistry you did. That was about a lab you did in biochemistry. That was part of the whole process.
Yeah, plain chemistry, I would call that. Mm-hmm. But then biochemistry, I picked that one specifically because there's not such a thing in a certain sense, and so to do it, you have to finish a biology degree and you have to finish a chemistry degree. And if you do both of them together, then at the time, that was what they called biochemistry.
Wow.
And so you just do double the course load, but that's fucking cool because then you know all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
And you get to understand the greater perspective. And a lot of the human chemistry stuff that we do is kind of complicated, but all the life chemistry stuff is so absurdly complicated that, one of the challenges has always been to do some of the best work in that field. There's only 3 people alive on the planet, and so there's nobody else that can even sit down and think about that problem. And so it will not get solved anytime soon until there's 300 guys that think about it all the time, and put their time in on it.
Right.
And so, it's just an infinite body of work to get involved in. We're like, okay, I can do this forever.
And no wonder, I don't know, human knowledge, increases exponentially as certain things are developed in the industry.
The stuff that they were like, the computers, you'll never
technology.
be able to do this in a home lab. You can make a home lab right now for $3,000 that you can do almost anything that exists on the planet. Yeah. You can genetically engineer purple snails or whatever the hell you want to do, or scary stuff too. You can make recreational chemistry, or you could, or you could.
So you like Northridge specifically because you could use machines like the electron microscopes?
Yeah, with the toys, and it's because almost all the fields, especially physics and a lot of the science, have gotten very embedded in computers. And chemistry, because of its nature, still has a lot of wet work, a lot of actual hands-on work that happens. And a lot of engineering has that, but I didn't want to work on a computer specifically. And so, it's all a great joke in reality that now I would like nothing more than to work on a computer and nothing else.
But do you think to enhance your learning of your chemistry? Because we're saying you're a recreational chemist. I'm trying to set up your chemistry resume right now as we talk through the following things, which, things that, So that is a great background. And so you think that these actually did help you move forward in the learning of chemistry?
Yeah, it was, okay, so the stuff, you do the schooling, right?
And also an example of why using machines would help you with something chemistry related in understanding of chemical reactions.
What's interesting is the machines that I used at that school that I thought were so cool, I've only used again 2 or 3 times in my entire career after that, which was probably 9 years in total. But I think I got 8 patents in 9 years or something like that. Right?
Who got 8 patents?
I did.
You have 8 patents.
I think so, or 7.
8 patents about what?
9. There's a few that I don't know if they ever went through or not, and I did a bunch of consulting work that theoretically was supposed to be on
patents for what? Patents for what, Jared?
The most common ones were cleaners.
Cleaners. So they're all chemistry based then.
Yeah.
So you have 8 chemistry related patents.
Yeah.
Some did go through, some did
and I'm
not
working
go
on
through.
new ones now. It's like I just
New
started
ones, of
working
course.
again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
A true recreational chemist,
Yeah,
but with formal training.
Yeah,
At
and
Northridge, what else?
The gist of the getting good at the thing was I got real lucky. I got a job where I got to do a difficult hands-on chemistry for 8 hours a day for like 6 years.
Wait, what is this? What job was this?
This was polymer science and and it was
for who? Who'd you work for?
coatings and cleaners.
Who did you work for?
That was Daytech.
Daytech, and you said you worked for what substances? You said I interrupted you before.
Well, that was what was cool. It was this fellow's lab. It was John's lab, and he had almost anything you had there. The first situation I remember being involved in with him was the CEO of Eastman Chemical came to this little tiny lab, and they got into like a drop-down, drag-out argument, screaming and yelling at each other in the conference room about how to run a program correctly. And he was like, okay, well, we're going to have to, I don't think you're going to succeed at this. And so when you fail after 3 years and this technology reverts to me, I'm going to sell it the way I think it should be sold.
Okay.
And they parted ways that day. And I was like, well, that's weird because Eastman Chemical is like one of the largest companies on earth.
He's going to come back down.
Which one?
Eastman Chemical.
I'm sorry. It is loud in here, so,
there's
Jared, do your AV magic later.
And so, it was just luck. I got to work with all these insanely cool companies doing crazy work, and then at the same time, you get home at the end of work and be like, well, I'm enjoying this, and so you just do more of it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I'm going to try and make, I made this little square bulletproof t-shirt material. And it was...
You made a square.
Yeah, it was
a bulletproof
t-shirt material.
material.
I took a t-shirt, a regular t-shirt, and I coated it with plastic, and I cured it, and then
you do.
feel it, and you can bend it, and it's still a t-shirt, and then you put it in a little frame, and you could shoot it with a 22. I was using a 22 revolver, and that would stop the bullet without poking a hole through my t-shirt.
But where's all that energy go? But still, right. That's not to the point.
It ripples.
That's not the point.
Like water.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and vibrates until it goes away.
Yeah, bruising your chest. But anyways,
it was cool. And it's like you just do it in your garage, and you're like, that was cool. And I look out in the world, and you're like, ooh, I invented something new. Yeah. And then, of course not. It's patented by the military already, right? They already have that technology.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. Well, I thought of it though. I didn't read their patent and then make it up. I just made it up and thought it would work. And so you're like, but that's what most of the thing is. You think of something, you think that you can make it work, and then you fuck with it.
Right.
Like the microphone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But this is how you got your 8 patents. Is you did that process.
You just keep fucking with it.
Yeah. And you also worked. You said for 8 years for who again?
It was 6 at that company.
Well, it was Daytech, you said, or what was it called?
Say it one more time.
Where did you work for?
The company was called Daytech, and it was in Camarillo.
Daytech. And you said you did 8 hours a day of hard chemistry related work.
Yeah.
And what is chemistry related? Like, take us through the day of as a chemist working at Daytech. It's something that's hard.
The backbone of most of the thought process is experiment design.
Experiment design. Okay.
And if you can figure out how to, you're like, okay, I want to know what's a good example. I'll use an actual example instead of a theoretical.
Examples are loved.
So there was a company, and they invented a new plastic for the use in the manufacture of photoresist for the manufacture of microelectronics.
Yeah.
And those, you coat the plastic on it, you shine light on it with a pattern, and then you dissolve away the part that the light's shown on, and then that's the pattern that goes down with the metal, right? And so you can do these very, very fine patterns. They invented a new specific coating that was the finest ever made, right? You could make the tiniest wires that anybody had ever done in a piece of microelectronics, but they had the problem that when they were done doing the process, they couldn't remove the rest of the plastic off of the device, not without destroying all the metals that they put down with aggressive chemistry. And so it was, you just started with, okay, this is some goo that they sent me, and it's got to dissolve.
So it's a problem you have then.
Yeah,
it's a problem that a company has.
Specific thing.
Yeah.
All the way down to the like nuts and bolts of like, okay, and I've got my own sample of that specific goo, and I've got their cure protocol, which takes 3 hours and goes through 4 different ovens and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so you have to do everything just great so you get the exact same problem. And if you stay very tight and you get everything exact, then you can go, okay, I'm seeing progress by switching away from cleaning it with chemical A to cleaning it with chemical B. Right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, that's a little bit closer.
Yeah, so that's right.
Let's try some more stuff like B and get even closer.
Yeah. And you did for 8 years, you said?
That was 6 years of that, and then I continued for about 2 to 3 years just doing my own work in cannabis industry, fire coatings. It was kind of random at that time. It was just people that needed attention on their projects and didn't know how to proceed.
Yeah, right.
And so then you go, okay. And then you do what consultants all do. You say, like, I know everything about that. And you spout out the 10 things that you know, and they think you're real smart. And then you go buy a textbook, and you read it that weekend.
Okay.
And then when you show up the next time, you actually do them fucking everything.
Okay. So the next few years you did fire coating, cannabis industry, and what else?
I did one for the Navy that was really cool.
What? You work where?
It was a pump, a water pump that they were trying to get to work. It worked great for clean water, and you couldn't pump seawater with it, so the Navy couldn't find much use for it.
Okay, right, got it, right. And I would say, so quite an extensive. It's like you have a degree in chemistry.
Oh yeah.
You have years of experience.
An eclectic blend of work.
Yeah,
it's very unusual to have the breadth of work and depth of work that I have.
It's so hard to see over your phone, Jared. Could you bring your phone down a little bit?
That's as far down as it goes.
Okay, fine.
I'm getting a new one.
Fine. No, I mean, just trying to see.
I'm getting a new one though.
No, I'm just talking out loud. Being.
Can't stop looking at it. Okay.
Being interesting.
Yes, you are being interesting.
Oh, whatever, bro. So I would say where you and our chemistry matters are concerned, or if there are chemical things,
the psychoactives.
If we were to segue, is you work in the cannabis industry, right? And I'm a proud cannabis
consumer
enthusiast, showgrown #1,
connoisseur, let's say,
a loyalist.
Yes.
You could say that. You know what I mean? I'm a nerd about it, and you are as well. And so that's where one of our interests, many intersect.
One of the first things we were like, let's go smoke a bowl and see if we get along.
Wait, what did you say?
That was like one of the first. We were like, let's go smoke a bowl at the pool and see if, just find out if it's cool to hang out.
To be fair, they were infused pre-rolls.
I do. I was getting ridiculously baked from those.
Was that at a church function? I don't remember. Was it a church? I think it was at a church function.
No, that was
totally a church function.
Yeah. Wait, no. We did like 3 of those.
Oh, actually, we did not smoke at a church function. It was the pool you have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we sat there.
Yeah, it was nice.
The neighbors that like to yell about that didn't yell about it.
Yeah. Now to go back to your resume.
Cannabis industry, right?
Yeah. What did you do, and what is the relation as far as your expertise with your degree and your experience?
Cannabis industry
did you do anything related there?
Yeah.
Did you do anything that's related to that?
Cannabis.
Or is there a relation to those? Sorry.
Not originally. It was just I would smoke weed almost every night, like when I'm falling asleep.
Yeah,
that's been for years and years, right?
Yeah.
But
nice indica strand.
What's with the? So cannabis industry was just. It had become hot in California, and it's becoming hot in the United States, right? Yeah. It's going to be a big money industry. Almost one of the universally known things is get your business ramped up in cannabis, because when it goes federal, Marlboro is going to buy fucking everyone for a lot of money, anyway. But so it's just kind of well known that it's a great industry to be in, because people are usually nice. They aren't super hardcore about, we're going to follow all these specific rules, blah, blah, blah. The meetings are fun because you smoke joints.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the main thing was the industry is just still very devoid of talented, and you could say this about anywhere, any industry at any time. You'd say, if you're legitimately good at what you do, you're needed like all the time.
Linchpin. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that industry is specifically right now, because of its like immaturity, is devoid of talented, trained professionals.
Okay.
Right.
And what do you mean by talented, trained professionals like yourself?
Like myself,
who knows the chemistry?
Or like the thing you would see is you in a cannabis chemistry conversation, you would have people with a lot of.
Can we get to Bud Lights? Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you. Yep.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. Yep. You know, this is a live atmosphere.
Proof. It's cool.
Proof.
It's hella cool.
Yep. So anyways,
so it's just and then because it's brand new, there's just piles of patents waiting to be gotten.
Yeah.
Right. There's a ton of opportunity for innovation, and innovation is the fun part of doing stuff. By I don't like selling stuff. I just like inventing stuff.
Yeah.
If I can do that only, that's my favorite work.
Right. Patent king.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And just like keep making cool stuff.
So you're saying that the cannabis industry currently,
right now.
How do you know currently? But also what?
Because
hold on.
The lack of innovation in the products they're delivering.
Have you tried some of it? Okay, fair enough.
You just go to the store and you're like, look at the pile, and like if you go to a store here and then go to a store in Colorado, you can see that Colorado's doing 50 things that Vegas isn't doing. And you don't even have to be that innovative. Just go to Colorado and be like, do the $400 training course that someplace offers, and then come back.
Okay. And what does a talented individual do in this industry?
Invention.
Okay, so you're saying that.
One job that I did that was one of the very first ones was nobody could figure out how to make a fireproof lab. Right?
Fireproof what?
A fireproof lab. It's not super hard because the fire department put out the codes for how to do it, but being the cannabis industry, not a lot of people just sat down and read a 60-page fire code.
Right.
And so that was the thing. Okay. I sat down and I read the 60-page fire code, and I made all my notes.
I'm sure you did.
And then I called the fire marshal and I asked him all these questions. And what was funny is I was like, so when you say this, does that mean this or this? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, Jared, how much of can I do a quick flip through your notebook?
Yeah.
To show like the notes that you take. I mean, you carry this everywhere, right? You carry this everywhere. There's just notes here.
Oh yeah.
Don't take screenshots.
I finally found a way to keep track of it.
You gotta keep track of it. Yeah, exactly. So so you have all this breadth of background here. So what did you do in the cannabis industry? Like, what did you do for your job?
It was just I designed their lab.
You designed
their fireproof section of their lab with
for who? Can you say who? Yeah. Can you say who? You remember who?
I think I can.
Well, that's fair. So you create a fireproof lab for that was a
cannabis extraction facility.
Business.
Yeah.
That's what you did.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Or somebody comes and they say, hey, we have. Oh, it was one company. We have $300,000 to spend on a lab, and we need. These are the things we want to deliver in terms of products, and we don't know how to get between those 2 points. What equipment do we need? How do we train our people? Blah blah blah. And so then you have to sit down, choose the equipment, which is really weird because. At the time, cannabis was, and in a lot of places, you still can't get a bank account to do it, right? And so you buy like a $78,000 chemistry column, or what do they call it? A white film reactor, right? Yeah. And you have to pay for that with cash because that's all you have. Yeah. And so you have one of your guys fly to the location in Missouri with 2 briefcases of cash, right? That came in directly through the dispensary because that's where everything's coming from, right?
Yeah.
And so then he goes there with the briefcases of cash, and the people there are like, "Is this normal? Like, is this a drug deal?" You know?
Right, yes, it is a drug deal according to the federal.
It is technically
government.
A drug deal, but
that's interesting. And let's see. Now, have you ever grown your own? Have you ever grown your own weed?
Really, not in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I was never like the grower guys always struggled because they have this balancing act of water and power.
Okay.
And so that you use so much water and so much power that you have to be careful about where you decide to live because it's cheaper to just buy it, or it's like, it's like,
Right.
you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to sell it to the industry now, but they also have to have their markup and pay taxes as well.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, fuck, I broke even after doing 3 months of
Yeah,
work.
so you really have to figure out that and make it in a mass quantity.
Or the guys that do really well that I know get exceptionally good at it. And so they'll grow like not a massive amount, like 20 pounds every 3 months or 60 pounds every 3 months.
Yeah.
But theirs is just top shelf, and they charge. It doesn't matter how much you get. It's $300 an ounce.
So it's a subscription package.
Yeah.
I think that's where everything can go into. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was
Super high.
I didn't know that was a thing. Now, really? Yeah, subscription packages.
There is
Okay,
still,
wow.
yeah. No, well, I know that
That makes
still,
sense.
The guys that I know that have the best grow ops that like everybody wants their stuff. The last time I checked with them, they were still to this day just doing, the biggest price cut you get is an ounce. And so if you buy 20 pounds, then you're just buying that many ounces from them. And there's no markdown because it's all going to go out.
Yeah.
They have the issue that they can't produce enough, not that they can't sell everything. Right?
Yeah. Now, I guess that could be a problem. Yeah, I could see that.
You're like, okay, I need a bigger building.
Yeah, right.
And then you're like,
And there it is. Yeah, exactly. And now for me personally, where I like to go is Shobra. They have such great deals. I shop for my weed on deals. Like if I look for if they're infused pre-rolls on deals, I'm gonna buy that because it's because you're getting such a high potency for such a low price. It's like it's dollar per THC percentage. Yes, of course. Yes,
that is still how I buy.
We should look at terpenes. Yes, but I'm shopping value, and Sugar has it. A double rewards program. That's just how I do it, Jared. I know I'm already boring you, but that's how I do it.
I'm thinking about it because I knew there was like I remember I went to this smoke out sesh one time, and there was a dude that had bought one of those like $7,000 blunts or something like that, right? And it was like,
whoa, hold on, time out. Did you say $7,000 blunt?
Yeah, there's these like decorative ones where they put crystals in it.
How many grams?
What?
How many grams?
I think that one was like 8.
An 8-gram blunt with crystals in it.
Okay, so then it was the crystals, THC crystals, THC
Right.
8 crystals, and it's also done on the exterior, which is a cannabis leaf that's been plated with gold.
Oh,
right.
A cannabis leaf plated with gold.
So it's a gold blunt. Right, so people really do this stuff, and it's not my thing. I don't know that much about it. I just
Jared, I
remember
like how
that
you occasionally look into to the phone, to the audience. You occasionally look into. Is it because you look into your phone, or I don't know. I think it's funny.
I don't know. Probably.
Anyways, $7,000. I'm not used to that in our conversation. I'm sorry. I apologize. So you said a $7,000 blend, and it's infused with pretty good.
Yeah,
it's gold plated leaf,
and it's a specific like they hired some Cuban famous cigar roller to roll it, and like they make a big production out of it. So when they do that, a lot of the times it's like they don't sell it.
Yeah.
They smoke it on camera.
Yeah. Wow.
With Snoop Dogg or some shit.
For example, right? I think the most expensive one I smoked was some Mammoth Louds, $25. I get some cheap too. Yeah, but I get much better ones from Presidential. They're normally 22, but you get them, buy one, get one free. Anyways, I'm looking for value, Jared.
That too, okay. That's mainly how you buy.
Yeah. But you smoke a wax pen though, right? A wax pen.
Yeah, almost exclusively.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Exactly.
And that's being too lazy to go outside.
Yeah. Right. Now we have smoked weed together. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Marijuana.
Yes. We have done that. Many types, but then also now another chemistry type interaction that we've had is also has to do with other psychedelics. Other psychedelics, right? Other specific psychedelics that are found on the floor of maybe a forest, right?
The mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
I like those ones.
You like which ones?
Oh, mushrooms. They're just
mushrooms. Now you have extensive history with mushrooms. Is that correct?
Pretty extensive. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Pretty extensive. I think
one time you. Thank you so much.
What's the back?
Thank you.
Yay! Delicious beer.
Libations. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep, no worries. So now I remember. I think maybe the first. Now The first
I
time,
did that massive dose. That was when I was scaling it though. And
Yeah.
like reading Timothy Leary, who's like, if you want to see God, eat an ounce of mushrooms, and I was like, okay.
so how many mushrooms have you, what is grams? So like, to be fair, it's like maybe like a quarter of a gram is maybe a microdose to half a gram. Like a good one is maybe a gram to 2 grams for I don't know, just general ego, inner work type of stuff.
Dissolution. No.
Which is true. That, yeah, anyways, but then like they say 4 to 5 is a heroic dose where things change.
Yeah,
And
I'd say when you go up to, because I did a scaling thing with them, and I wish I could have found the journal that had all those notes. That's why I used the journaling technique. But there is thresholds where everything changes, and they don't always do that. So there was a whole phase where it was like I ate 7 grams, and then it was like, oh, that was a thing, and then I ate 8, and it was almost the same, and 9 was the same, 10 was the same.
Okay, so between 7 and 10, describe your experience.
There was what that experience was like,
because that's a very high amount. Most people have not done that amount.
Oh, the 10?
Most will not. Yeah.
You know, and I think one thing that's really important when you think about high dose psychedelic stuff is there's a massive difference between no dose and a dose.
Yeah.
And then as you go up more and more, it's still just more of that same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's like the difference between no dose and a dose is much different than small dose to big dose or big dose to enormous dose.
Wouldn't you say that's like with anything?
Yeah, probably.
Like with weed, you know? I think it's probably the same that way. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, like no exposure to exposure.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I am now a Christian.
Right. I am now Christian.
I got exposed to Christianity for the first time ever.
Now, I was gonna say this like, I was. It's so funny. But yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
And to Taylor. Let's drink to Taylor.
I never
a long forgotten co-host.
I was always gonna say that. I like to Taylor.
Bud Light. Delicious. Not really. No. Anyways, so what were we talking about?
Low
dose to high dose?
Low dose to high dose, yeah, right. 5 grams. Have you listened to Terrence McKenna?
Say it again?
Terrence McKenna. He's like the grandfather, the forefather of mushrooms.
That was the guy that
he has a very specific way to do a heroic dose, 4 to 5 grams.
Yeah, no, he was the one that said if you want to see God, eat an ounce of mushrooms. And so
you said Timothy O'Leary said that, and he was the LSD guy.
No, it's the one you said, Terrence McKenna.
Okay.
Timothy O'Leary's that
who's Timothy O'Leary?
The curse a lot comedian.
Who?
Timothy Leary's the one that curses a lot.
But there is an O'Leary. There's an O'Leary though.
There is too.
There is one. Well, you know what?
We're having stoner problems.
What?
We're having stoner problems. I can't remember that guy's name.
I'm not having a stoner problem, Jared.
I remembered the wrong name.
Anyways, whoever said it, who cares? It's the point that you see, and it's true for me. Yes, I did. So, but they say on an empty stomach, 4 to 5 grams on empty stomach,
like a day or two.
Have weed ready to go. Have weed ready to go, because he says that if you're in a bad place, it can take you back. But then also in complete silence. Darkness. Darkness and complete silence in a room.
I have never done sensory deprivation.
Well, it's not sensory deprivation. I mean, yeah, it is. But he said that it's there. It's all there. And because the music or the conversation, the people drive the trip rather than the actual mushroom.
Yeah, it's an intense form of introspection. And so when you put things outside of you, it's noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With the exception that like the natural world doesn't do that. It reflects your inner self. And your inner self reflects the natural world when you're in the natural world. Yeah. And so that's why I always do the nature thing. You go out in nature, and you can either be in the dark, silent, which is pretty fucking boring. Mm-hmm. We did that.
Hold on. Right? Wait. You said it.
Compared to like being outside, I like to sit.
Close your eyelids. It all happens below. That's what happened to me before, and that's what happened. That's what Terrence has said is everything happens because I've done that. I was
behind your eyelids.
Yeah, complete
that last
silence.
One we did, I meditated with my eyes closed for 4.5 hours straight.
On mushrooms?
Yeah, I did it in the back of the truck, and then I went into the house and did it in the bed because I couldn't fall asleep.
See, I always am shocked at the meditative abilities between no dose an A dose. Like I have a hard time getting to 10 without even like, because there's a practice. Okay, count to 10, like to start for starter meditations. Like who's starting to meditate, count to 10 and just think of the number and see the number. Then you can track your progression without.
I think that's the basis of transcendental meditation.
Yeah,
it's a mantra, right?
No dose. I have a hard time getting to 10. A dose. Psilocybin, weed, DMT, whatever, and wherever they're legal, being taken. But like with those, for me, I remember I get to 40 or 50 and I get bored. You know what I mean? Like just thinking of the numbers, nothing else. And I'm just saying there's a huge difference. Like, and I'm just saying it makes sense when you're on shrooms, you could meditate for such a long period of time. And that's what Terrence is saying is it's all happening behind your eyelids. I've done it. It's amazing. You see into the fabric of the universe. Well, anyways,
forget the.
So yeah,
you got to use that.
It's a different experience. It's not boring. It's a different experience. You say it's boring.
What boring's not the right word. It's usually not what I'm seeking if I'm deciding to do a mushroom.
Yeah, because you and I did.
I would have sat my ass out in that cold wind all fucking night, and that's what I was planning on doing. And that would have, and then with a full moon and like howling ice wind, right? And that doesn't prevent me from meditating. It just provides nice backgrounds, and it gives me an energy surge.
You are an advanced practitioner.
Yeah, you'd be like, because the moon is like, and then the wind is like,
Yeah. So, but the first time we did some shrooms together.
Yeah.
Well, it was we walked up the Capitol Basin.
Yeah. That was cool too.
In the Red Rock National Park. Outside Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh, it was so weird though with the all the there was an entire army of high school homecoming photography people, remember?
Yeah, so we did mushrooms in the car. We took it and then we started walking into the desert.
Like, that doesn't belong in the forest.
Yeah, right. And so while we're doing this band appears because we got separated for a bit.
Yeah, with the
completely.
Cowboy hat bands with the cowboy attire with the tassels.
Yeah.
And then there's 20 of them. And you're like...
See, I remember talking to you before we did this.
Huh?
And we were talking about plants or something like that, and you go, yeah, plants are funny. They have personality. Like you said, plants are funny. They have funny personalities. And I was like, what in the world are you talking about?
Oh.
Like, no, this is like, it was amusing to me. I'm like, what? So then when we did that and then walked into the desert,
we went and saw that really cool looking tree that we hung out underneath.
Well, the tree was not alive, and then literally it became alive.
Yeah, it goes, you see it breathe in for the first time. You're sitting there and it goes,
well,
I can see it now.
When I could see this energy coming out. It was the entire.
And you're like, hey, what's up, tree? And the tree's all, what's up?
Yeah. And I became a guest just in a random, it was a Billabong section, I would say. Right? It was an oasis, right?
And he had the big branches that stuck out to the sides, right? And so and we were already under the branches, and so as soon as we're aware of it, it's like, hey, I've already been taking care of you. You're in my branches.
Yeah. And I'm so loud. I'm so loud all the time. And I'm a racket. You know what I mean? And you're.
Oh yeah, I remember that got on my nerves that time.
Yeah, we're on shrooms. You're quiet. And I am loud, just loud as hell.
Well, yeah,
but I'm just saying it's so different.
What? You can hear your heartbeat. You can hear the sound of the liquid in your eyes and stuff. If you can hear anything by paying attention.
I love that. You can hear the sound of the liquid in your eyes.
Yeah, you can hear your eyes.
No. But it was shocking to me and I talked to people who also who are veteran psychedelic users, and they've never even considered walking into the forest or something alive nature.
It's the best place.
It is.
It is.
Well, it is one of the places. So I wouldn't consider it a part. I would not consider it a party.
I would actually like to do now that it's on the mind, sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. I've never done that.
Yeah, well, that's what Terrence McKenna, that's what he says to do. Because I did months of research before I ever did anything.
Yeah.
So, but
that sounds really fun.
You know, it's good. Getting chocolate legally is easy. You know what I mean? All these things. Getting the actual mushroom is a little tougher. Getting the actual stem and cap is a little tougher. It's tougher. It's tougher. I have multiple places to get chocolates and tinctures, but the actual mushroom is hard to come by. Is that not? That's my experience.
So there's like two major technical reasons for that. The first one is they're really crumbly.
What?
When they're really crumbly when they're caps, because if you don't dry them correctly, they can rock.
Okay.
So when you dry them correctly, you bring them to like 0, or it's like 0.5 to 2% moisture maximum. But like really, you're trying to go for like 0.25, 0.2% moisture, and then they're so brittle at that point that no matter what you do, you end up with a pile of dust at the bottom, right?
And that's why there's capsules. That's why there's tincture. That's why there's chocolate.
It's because everybody powders it before they start, right?
Yeah.
And so there's the powdering component, and then the other component is they break down because of heat and because of oxidation, right? Just heat and oxygen makes them be less and less cycloactive over time, and so powders have a lot of surface area and they degrade very rapidly. Right, and so if you make caps, you end up with powder anyway, and then unless your guy's taking very good care of them, and when you grow them yourself, you can do just that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, who knows?
Just because nobody does a good enough job doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yeah. That's how you think, right? That's maybe there needs to be some innovation in that in the coming legal psilocybin industry. Get on the forefront of that. When it becomes legal, of course.
That's actually a packaging problem. And packaging problems are really fun because you have to figure out how to make them fit on box machines, which is the hardest part. You're like, this would work, and then you're like, try and make it fit on a box machine.
Now, how many say was your maximum dose? I think by the way, I have 2 questions for you because I think I interrupted and digressed far beyond that. What is it like between 7 and 10? I think mine is 5 or 6. But you're between up to 10. 7 to 7 to like 12.
Describe
the experience. Just describe the experience. But you said you always do it in nature. Is that right?
Say it again.
You always do it in nature. You always do it in nature.
Almost always. When I did like the last 10-gram dose that I did, I waited until it was nighttime before I started.
Why? Because mushrooms grow in the darkness.
And I wanted it to be quiet. I wanted to go out and do a nature hike, and I didn't want to have other people around.
Yeah.
And I
That's
didn't
true.
want to hear.
That is so true.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear language. Hearing language really shrinks your mind when you're on psychedelics.
I remember when we did that Calico Basin, we were away from everyone, and that trip, and then when people were introduced again, and how much different it was.
Your brain switches gears, and you can't pay attention in that way.
Because you've done mushrooms, you're connected to the mycelium underneath your feet.
Yeah, you're like
to everything.
To everything mycelium.
Then let's talk about the Stone theory. That's for another time.
Yes.
But But what's so 7 to 10?
I was originally going for a hike, and I went out my door. And,
is it 10, right?
And I almost always typically wait until I make myself tea.
We did 2 together each.
2. Yeah.
We each did 2, right?
Yeah.
Or 1.
We each
or 1
did,
and a half.
Wait.
When we went to Calico.
Oh, we each did. I think we did a half bar each.
Which is only 1 and a half. Yeah, 1 and a half. Well, 1.7. About 2. Go ahead. Sorry. Anyways, so you did 10. We did 1 to 2, and you did 10. So what's the difference now and then?
Well, that's part of it is you can decide how it's going to play out, right? And so
with intention,
if you want to be really tripped out, you can eat a lot, or you can decide to be really tripped out. If you decide to be really tripped out in advance, you're like, this is going to trip me out way harder than it should.
What about just having no expectations? Could you have that too?
Say it again?
Yeah, you're saying have intention or no intention.
I do my no intention and affirmations and stuff, things like that. And so it's like, repeat something. So like when I do like a 10-gram dose, like we were talking about, I know that it's going to come on hard whether I want it to or not, right? And so that's going to come on, and I make tea.
You what?
I make tea. Because if I can't make tea, I probably shouldn't go outside. Right? And I've gotten to the place a couple times where I can't make tea. And it's really basic, and it burns you if you make mistakes, right? And so it's a good way to calibrate yourself. Yeah. And so I make tea, and I drink my tea, and then I'm like, I'm good. I can go outside. I can make tea. I can do a sequential thought process that ends up with what I want.
Yeah.
And so,
so 7 to 10.
yeah,
what's the
so
experience?
I made tea, and
you
then I
made
went
tea.
out the front door, and I had it was nighttime, and it was winter, and it was cold, and so I had all this not snow, but like heavy jackets and a hat, and like a backpack with water, and all this stuff, and I got like to the end where the lights of the street ended, and it went on to the like dirt road that I was going to walk up, and I was like, I'm doing this all wrong. It was like very obvious that I was doing it wrong, so I went back to my house, and I ditched all my gear, and I got a water bottle that fit on my hip, and I went barefoot, and I walked to the top of the mountain
Barefoot? Were your feet bloody?
barefooted like
My
2
God.
o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Why
cold.
barefoot? Why barefoot?
It was like the signal that was talking to my feet from the ground was not
That is
enough.
true. That
And
is.
I was like, I
can
need
see
more
that
feet
being
signal,
true.
and I'll be cold all I want.
See, and I think that's something to take in consideration. The next time we do a shroom trip and go in is to a certain point go barefoot. I mean, I'm gonna wear my boots. I'm sorry, but like at a certain point go barefoot and feel it.
Yeah, even I wore like a tank top, even though it was freezing cold at night.
You want to feel it.
Because it was like, we were like, no, these are not going to be pain signals, right? These aren't pain signals. These aren't discomfort signals.
Yeah.
These are like, this is literally the communication that's happening right now.
Wow.
And I'm being
That's a
able
good way
to
to think of
listen
it,
to it.
because like when that wind howled that one night, that's all I could think about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, that was the
I
communication that was happening.
Yeah, I understand.
It was
I
like
know.
screaming too. It was a crazy wind.
It was screaming. I felt like screaming. It's
Oh,
true.
and then the moon was full,
The moon was,
and it was like it was screaming at us too. Like, okay, that's a lot of energy. That's what I want to do.
Now, how about the maximum dose? Remember, we went from no dose, a dose, and then the maximum dose. Describe that. How many did you take, and what was that experience?
That one was okay. So I did 35 grams.
35 grams.
Yeah, and it was an ounce and a quarter, and it was because I read Terrence McKenna.
There you go.
And he was like, hey, if you want to
Rest
see
in
guys
peace.
eat an ounce of
Power.
mushrooms, and so I ate an ounce and a quarter.
An ounce of mushrooms. I thought you said a gram. Did you see God? And tell us about it.
That's 35 grams. 35 grams is an ounce and a quarter.
So tell us about God then, Jared.
So then that one's like, it didn't take, it came on really fast because it was such a high dose. I didn't want it to come on so hard where it's like you're getting kicked in the forehead and you can't tell where you're at. And so I ate it over the course of about an hour and like very conscientiously chewed for a long time.
Oh, you ate 35. Oh, because 35 is a lot.
It's a lot
That's
to
a
eat,
lot
too.
to
It's
eat.
like a big pile of food.
That is and you know what? I feel that you like eating a gram of chocolate with mushrooms. It's a lot to eat.
It is.
I get nauseous.
And it's nasty.
Pro tip: Dramamine as an anti-nausea.
Oh yeah, your Dramamine thing is bad. I have never got the nausea. Actually, I got the nausea almost every single time, and then I decide not to have it. Using the same technique.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Right.
that's not good. That signal is pleasure.
Yes. So you ate it. So you ate it over an hour.
Yeah.
That probably was good.
And then it makes your come
were
on.
you empty stomach? Were you empty stomach?
Say it again.
Were you empty stomach? On
Yes.
empty stomach?
Yeah, and I
Water, right? Obviously water.
I was always doing a 1 to 2 day fast prior to beginning, and it's because you begin to realize as you're practicing.
So you did a 2-day fast before you put 35 grams of mushrooms in your body?
Yeah, and it's because what you don't realize and what you have to do once to just get is do like a 3-day fast, eat mushrooms, do your trip, and then halfway through your trip eat a hamburger or a carrot or some shit, and watch how weird it makes your trip, because the signals that's now coming from your body is food signals, right?
This is advanced. I don't know. I say we're both psychonauts.
Yeah.
But I mean, compared to you, I mean, my goodness, wow.
You just try shit and then you learn.
Right.
And you're like, but that one was just trying it. It was and then once you try that, what I think is a deep and profound thought is not. It's cheeseburger, right?
That is so true. Like, I will have thoughts, like, remember, very,
This feels so profound.
Yeah,
you come
you
back
write
to it
down.
later and you're like,
I know.
that's just the bacon talking.
But you're right.
You know?
And it's a bacon talking, right? Yeah. But it's interesting that the reads when you're the ideas when you're tripping. You write that down.
I think bring a journal, right?
Bring a journal. Some are good, some are bad.
Then it's just fun to see how like your writing goes from like these little sentences to being like big, to like drawing cartoons of monkeys and stuff as you trick. You know, like as you change, your output changes and you can't write correctly anymore. And so you're doing something else. Where you're like, I made up hieroglyphics one time that I couldn't remember. And I didn't know what I wrote, so I don't do that anymore.
Did you say you made up hieroglyphics?
Yeah, I made up I just made like an instantaneous mental alphabet.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're like, you're like, this is so obvious. I will remember this obviously later. Like, and you come back and you're like, it just looked like somebody coughed on a page.
It's so true. Like my ideas are so great when I'm high, and like I'm so obviously this is going to change the world. And I'll have 5 of those ideas, and then I'll remember none of them. So that's why journaling is great. Yeah, exactly. So
this journal trick is the best too. Now every day is just in a row.
Now
it's just
should we? I think so. Our ideas for our future. So our first trip we communicate with the nature, and plants. Now what about? And I think maybe our next one we have an idea about. The next one
I was going to tell you though, the 35-gram thing.
Please go back. Yeah.
The psychotropic part of it, where you're like feeling the earth wobble and stuff. A lot of that was not there, and I thought it was going to get very severe. And what happened was actually the opposite. I went to this like weird place of intense clarity. And so what happened is,
which I feel it happens on 2.
It happens sometimes, and it's like so. I my point of view was about 3 feet over my head, and I could see my own body.
Mm-hmm.
I was operating my body with strings, like a puppet made of light.
A puppet. So you were
all directions at the same time.
At 35 grams, I just want to get clarified. At 35 grams, a 3-day fast, and then 35 grams over an hour. At a certain point, you had moved to a vision, a point over your head.
Yeah.
And you were a puppet
at the same time.
master, and your body was made of light.
Yes, and it was very awkward to operate myself at that point. And you realize that I had always been operating myself, but now I was aware of it. Now it's annoying, and so it's like all self-conscious.
So in reality, Jared, you're telling me that right now, all of us, not all of us,
there's a higher self. Yes. And it's running you.
Yeah, right. That was the metaphor. Yeah. That was the metaphor. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
It's not even a metaphor. It's a very direct, obvious thing, and then you experience, and you're like, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Wow, it's super awkward to have to do that with my hands. Mm-hmm. It's better that thing's doing it all the time.
Right. Should we talk about our next?
Oh yeah, sure.
I think the idea, since our first one, at about 2, we communicated with the plants around us in the forest, the desert landscape. We'll say. How about that? Billabongs.
That was a great desert.
That was a great desert. That
Those rocks were awesome. That's what made me a mountain sage.
Let's take
rocks.
The mountains. Oh right. During that trip you became a what again?
A mountain sage. Yeah.
What's a mountain sage?
It's somebody who sits on a mountain.
Could you describe to me what a mountain sage is, Jared?
It's when you sit on a mountain, and then you learn the things that you learn while you sit on a mountain.
And what did you learn? Tell us what you learned.
Like human beings are pretty cute, and most of the solutions to all our problems are really obvious if you look at it.
If we cut away all of our preconceived notions and programming.
When you sit up on the mountain, you watch people, and it's like a boyfriend and girlfriend fighting for an hour. You're like, okay, if that guy is like, what's my problem? You're like, get a new girlfriend, dude. Like, it's not that hard. You guys just don't get along. From mountain sage perspective, it's very easy. It's right there. Stop yelling at each other.
From mountain sage perception, it's very easy.
Yeah, you're just sitting on the mountain. You're like looking at people, and you're like, you're being dumb.
Right. No, it's not.
It's like watching somebody try and strap down their truck without like tying the straps right.
Yeah.
You should probably use the hooks.
You should probably use the hooks. It's very simple.
Yeah.
If we brought all the problems to the mountain sage, he could fix us all, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a comic of mountain sage because it'll be fun. It'll be like, oh, mountain sage.
Yeah. I think we said I became a magician where I could the physical and the spiritual world.
Pink that time.
I did see.
You realized the intense feminine sexuality of the earth itself.
Yeah, that's a way to say it for sure. Yeah, but it's on that trip, everything did light up pink to me. So.
Well, yeah, and you said everything's a pussy too.
What?
You said everything's a pussy too.
I don't think I said those words.
Something like that, right?
I just saw a lot of V's.
Yes. A lot of V's.
That's what I saw, and that's what I'm sticking to it. Jared. So
Cool though.
Anyways, to go back to it, our plan is to take 4 to 5 grams and go to the San Diego Zoo and try and communicate with animals.
Yes, that's gonna be so fun.
You know what? Are we crazy? Yes.
I want that third-person camera thing that I was talking about, where there's a camera behind you.
Right. We could do the drone. No, let's not bring drones into.
I know. That sounds like.
But our goal is to communicate with animals for the first time. I don't know if we're gonna get it on camera because.
I'm not very good at cameraing. I usually don't even look at my phone.
But I'm saying it'd be interesting, it's not gonna happen. You know what? We'll see what happens. Who knows?
You know what's gonna happen? I already know. We're gonna get there, and it's gonna be like something weird. I've been to I like going to the zoo, so I go a lot, right? And sometimes you go and there's just some weird stuff going on that they don't announce, and they'll be like, today we're walking the tigers, and they just walk by with the tigers on a leash, and you're like, that looks safe, but I know that when we go on that day, they're gonna be like, today we're petting the porcupines or some weird shit, and you're like, sure.
If that's what the universe has for us,
it'll be something cool. I know it will.
Last time, the universe came and comforted me in the color pink, and I expect the color.
And then the second time, it was screaming at us, so we sat in the truck.
Because the wind was screaming at us, of course,
and the moon. Everything was screaming at us.
Third time, maybe we'll have some communication with the tiger.
I want to go get in a fist fight with a kangaroo.
And also, I'm not gonna. I want to create a relationship with these animals. I don't want to command them. You know what I mean? I want to find out, like a giraffe. What's his motivation while it's under there? Yeah, I guess we'll see. Thank you, doing great. Thank you. So,
a giraffe.
And so,
what would be the best one? I always get nerded out on monkeys.
So here we go. Which
monkeys? They make eye contact and stuff.
Monkeys.
Yeah.
Well, because most similar ancestors,
Yeah. And they make the same faces as us, so it's all weird.
So we're going to monkeys first, or should we warm up and then go to the monkeys?
Well, honestly, flamingos first, obviously.
Pink. We should honor the unit of pink, of course. Flamingos.
And they usually have hundreds of them, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
But eventually we have to go to the tiger. The animal that I most identify with, the tiger.
Well,
so
when
lion.
What's funny is the animals know too. As soon as you get there, they know instantly, right?
Wait, what?
The animals know that you're tripping instantly. And
I've heard that dogs. I've heard that about dogs. I've heard that dogs.
They fuck with you. They fuck with you. And so when you get to the tiger, they might the regular tiger doesn't sit up, right? It just fucking lays there. And then if you're going swimming, it might just go up and be and try and scare you or something,
Do you understand that this will be confirmed? On a later podcast, talk show episode, not podcast.
Yeah, we'll do some videos of the.
No, I'm just saying this will be confirmed.
I almost got peed on by the lion once. That was funny.
I'm gonna have no electronic devices on me. I don't want any interference.
Any electronic?
Well, on my body anyway.
And they have the shows there, so we could go to the bird show where they're here's the freaking condor with 9-foot wings, and you're
by the way, what? Wait.
The birds that have a 9-foot wingspan. Those giant birds.
Well, at that point, they'll be showing off for us because they'll know.
Oh yeah, they will. Yeah. They'll be they might. Well, that's what I mean. It's gonna be really fun because they're gonna be check this guy out. And they're gonna go fuck with you.
I don't even know if I believe. I don't even know if I could believe in this happen. But we're gonna see.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're gonna see.
Obvious favorites, right? Monkeys, otters, seals.
Okay, we get it. Animals.
No, last one. What? I like the ones that are that never sit down.
Which are
monkeys, otters.
You like animals that don't sit down?
Yes, everything. So you go and there's hey, I'm the rhinoceros, and it's just laying there.
Yeah.
And there's this one, it's just laying there. And they're here's the otters, and they're
Here's a tip if you want to communicate with dolphins, if you're a sea park. I saw a janitor do this one day. It was a glass. No, they're behind glass.
Yeah.
Okay, something else. Okay. Anyways, I saw him rub his hand so it made a shrieking sound across the glass, and dolphins came over and swam around with 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
So he left, and then I did that. 3 or 4 of them came around again. Maybe it's just the janitor to say hi to the janitor, but it came out to see me too. So I thought it was interesting. Again, that's not psychedelic related.
I bet you when there's not people there, he does that, and then he does a song and dance or something for them, to keep them entertained.
This right enough. Now,
I love that stuff.
They do. Well, and we will definitely update in later talks.
Like monkeys and gorillas looking at cell phones.
Wait, what?
Have you seen monkeys and gorillas looking at cell phones?
No.
They're pretty funny. They're like, they figure out pretty quick. They're like showing them pictures, and they're like, okay, swipe to the next one. You know, they're all doing it through the class. They're like, okay, swipe, show me another one.
Yeah. We'll do an episode post San Diego Zoo.
We should try to do one there.
Yeah.
We'll bring the microphone.
Maybe, you know what, and we've talked about this already, I think we might start doing on remote locations, the show. Of course, home base.
On Jared at the zoo is an amazing opportunity.
Live? Should we go live? Should we do live?
I mean,
do live.
If I can figure out that audio thing.
Yeah, which we're working on. But we've talked about how maybe having this at different locations too. Mm-hmm. So
I mean, zoo on mushrooms is pretty epic. But that's about as epic as you get.
Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see. So,
I mean, I can't even think of a cooler last mushroom trip than to the zoo. Because you're like, you got all those different animals, and they're all going to be really intense.
And whose idea was it, Jared?
That's your idea. I've never done that. I can't believe I've never done that. It seems like really obvious after you say it. Like,
even though you're so brilliant and smart, Jared, and that's why I
can't even think of
that's
that.
That's why you're sitting across from me, because you have this.
You're like, oh,
I'm good for something, Jared. I'm good for something.
Oh,
I'm good for something, right?
Well, we're going to find out when I interview you.
Thanks a lot.
You'll have to prove it.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
prove yourself out.
Now, one of the last things I want to talk about as a recreational chemist is. I think there's something fascinating to me is about the substance DMT and what is it? It's dimethyltryptamine. What is the actual DMT? Do we even know? I don't know. But it's DMT. It's a very psychoactive.
You said it. It's dimethyltryptamine.
It's very active in like ayahuasca and other plants. But you said that you could make DMT out of anything. I think that's what fascinates me most.
Okay, it's a chemical that is all living things have it.
It's highly psychoactive.
It kicks off when you're born.
Really?
Mm-hmm. When you exit the womb, you have a one that kicks off when you die.
What do you mean a one?
Okay, so you have a gland.
DMT, a spurt of DMT?
Your pineal gland produces that chemical.
In spurts? I know. You need it?
At specific times. It helps you to dream. And so your dreams are a byproduct of that, partially a byproduct of that chemistry.
Birth? And you said DMT too.
And death. And so when people die, it's been called spirit molecule for a large variety of reasons. That's the name of the book on the topic. But
DMT.
The things that you see when you do DMT are very typically going down the white tunnel towards the white light.
That's a description
your
of
dead relatives. You have the same experience.
The POV experience out of body, which is what you have on high grams of psychedelics.
Yeah, once you got enough of them, apparently.
Yeah. Right.
These ones are, and so it's a very...
So it's in our body, and we produce it, and we know that, right?
It got a lot of popularity for a period of time. It's still popular in certain crowds, but it got a lot of popularity because...
Well, it's very popular now, Jared. You're talking about something else.
When you inhale it, your body voids that chemical very quickly. And so you can go on a DMT trip that takes you so far gone, you literally just black out, and somebody has to take the smoking device out of your hand so you don't drop it.
Which is a pen, right? A pen?
It's usually a pen now. People do it in vape pens. And the people take it out of your hands before you drop it. And then you sit there for like 5 or 6 minutes, and then you come back and you talk about how you witnessed the river of all time and how it loops back on itself, and how you get all into it, and you're like, you were gone in your perception for an indeterminate number of days.
I've heard that,
right? And so then you're like,
I heard whole lifetimes can happen in 10 minutes.
In just a little blink. Yeah. And you're like, and you come back and you're like, oh shit, I was this guy. I forgot I was this guy. I was somebody else for a minute.
Someone said that they went on they smoked. It's that one thing you can get at a store.
Oh yeah, salvia.
Salvia. They smoked salvia. There's one person who smoked salvia, and like he was like in 3 minutes he was gone, but he had 4 months of life. He had a girlfriend, friends in another world.
Yeah, and you come back from that, and it's real enough that when you come back, you're like, oh yeah, and it's like, I was a Jared, right? I was Jared. I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think here's why, and this is why, ayahuasca's, sounds great. I wanted to definitely do it.
Oh, and then
retreat.
that's a combination of an inhibitor enzyme
Yes.
that makes it so that your stomach doesn't destroy the chemical, so that you can ingest it rather than inhale it.
But you said we can make DMT out of everything, though.
You can, but you need a monoamine oxidase inhibitor,
And that's why you need that the blend, like you said, for the other ayahuasca. It has the what again?
monoamine oxidase inhibitor, and there's a large variety of that. You can just buy those on the internet. MAOIs.
So you can even make your own. You can even make your own DMT pen. You can make it.
I mean, the easy way that people do it now is they buy powdered DMT-rich plant material, and you just extract it, and you start there.
Right, you start there,
and then you start
you make a
cleaning
substance,
it and refining it down.
Yeah.
And you usually do.
And like, what would be a starting substance? Oh, you're saying, but like, if you had to start in the wild, what would be your go-to?
Those guys use a vine.
Cactus?
They use a vine. The cactus is mescaline. But
mescaline. Okay. Have you done mescaline?
Yes, and that one
is it that's psychoactive, correct? Yeah.
That's another one that makes you leave the planet, but that one makes you leave the planet for like 8 hours. And you need a sitter because you might like try and fly or something.
So avoid that one. Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do a big trip, it's good for little trips because it makes you feel weird. And everything's good for little trips because they make you feel weird.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do a big trip, you got to be like aware of what you're doing.
Jared, it's been interesting. I've known you for, I would say, a long time. I've not known a lot of these things until I just talked to you right now. So thanks for thanks for telling me all this stuff. Like, I became smart. I'm now a smarter individual.
I'm going to ask you a million questions.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're going to turn the interview on me for sure. But we're also going to find we have another guest coming. Let's give a preview. Bob the Genius Gardener.
Oh, Bob the Genius Gardener.
We're going to have a cult survivor on. Coming on. Yep. We're trying to get a guy who's a King Mentality. So we had some discussion with him, but charisma coach for men. So I talked a lot with him, but try to get him on is a different story. But anyways, thanks for coming. Yeah, and I look forward to coming back, the interview coming back in my direction. Yeah. And getting a third chair.
That and having an AB setup that probably works this time.
Yeah, that also helps. Thanks, Jared.
Goodbye, wonderful guest.
Goodbye.
I will see you again.
Yeah, people said that my innings suck, so I'm just going to keep it sucking. So
be like, get lost, losers. Yeah. Show's over.
Yeah, well, there's no one to lose. No one's watching, so we're good.
Oh, right. We don't have a. Right. I'm going to stop it.
Me too, I stopped.